Spoilers for these animes here. Has there ever been an anime moment that just stuck out to you? That even after watching, you still feel a lot of the weight of what you watched? I still remember being a little fucking American Boy Scout and just being blown away by how Krillin died in the Frieza saga in Dragon Ball Z. So growing up in America, we had cartoons, and in these cartoons there was a status quo that needed to be filled. Whether it was a character coming back to life, or nothing really drastic happening. There were just some things you couldn't really do, and death was one of them. I was personally blown away by the thought of something different happening in my show. Death is something tragic. It's something universal that everyone has to deal with. Everyone can feel something towards. When you remove death, you remove a lot of the impact from the viewer. Because there's so many iconic deaths and so many memorable deaths that what would you do if those deaths were taken out of the series because, the creator just didn't want to kill off characters or whatever. Some series would just be a lot worse because of it. There's certain genres of anime that don't really care about death, and I can understand why they don't, because there's romance, there's comedy, there's etchy, I guess. And it's not to say that these genres are bad, but in general, they're talked about a lot less, in my opinion, from my experience, than compared to shonen anime. And even then, certain shonen anime don't really have a lot of depth, but still are talked about a lot. In One Piece, no one really dies besides in flashbacks until about 500 chapters in. However, this in turn I think works for its favor. You see, in One Piece, the death was of Ace. Ace's death is very impactful because you don't see it coming, and it's for a beloved character that we had gotten to know. Also, a lot of the empathy comes from the fact that Luffy, our protagonist, was someone he considered a brother. It's also worth mentioning that beforehand, Luffy had won a lot of his battles and only really lost on the parts right before Marineford where Ace died. And this in turn shows us, the reader, that Luffy is not ready to go into the New World and take on even stronger threats, if he can't even save his brother from this war. On the opposite side though, not ever letting a character lose can be a bad thing, unless the series is like One Punch Man, and that character is just designed not to lose. Fairy Tail is a prime example of this. I've explained a lot of my opinion on Bede's channel, but to put it brief, Fairy Tail teases you with a satisfying character death, and then takes it back. This frustrates the hell out of the consumer, because we, as humans, hate when we are cheated out of something or are lied to. Death has weight. It has consequence. That's why series like Fairy Tail are mocked so much, because death never happens. That's why it's hard to say a lot of the time what really good fights there are in Fairy Tail, because the fights have no weight. No one's going to die. No one's going to be in any trouble. They're just going to knock on a power up all the way through. My inspiration for this video was from recently watching Devilman Crybaby. And man, that Miki scene, even days later after watching this show, I still get chills just thinking about it. It reminds me of the first time I saw the eclipse, or when I saw Shinji crush Kaoru. It's impactful deaths like these that make shows stand out. How many memes, reaction images, and just overall talk is there about the eclipse? Or how much fan art there is of Shinji and Kaoru? What's especially impactful about these deaths is they happen right after happy moments, and truly give the series an identity of what kind of show they are, dark and depressing. This idea is very apparent in Madoka Magica. Mami's death in episode 3 is such a twist and an overall shocker to the audience, but it also shows us the true nature of Madoka as a show. Some of the greatest deaths happen unexpectedly, and some of them can also be expected. Caesar Zeppeli was a character who was a strict contrast to his grandfather, much like how Joseph is to Jonathan. However, one thing did not change, and that's the Zeppeli legacy of sacrificing themselves for a Joestar. As soon as Caesar left the group, We pretty much know this was going to happen. This isn't to say that death has no impact. It's probably one of the more impactful deaths in the whole Jojo series. It's the death of a beloved character, and seeing Joseph try desperately to move the rock out of Caesar's body is one of the most heartbreaking things I think I'll ever see. Sure, it can be effective, but in some instances, it leaves the audience becoming numb to the idea of death, unless it's something all at once, like in Devilman Crybaby or Berserk. If it's spread out throughout the entire series, it kind of gives the purpose of, oh hey, this place is dangerous, we could die at any point. However, at the same time, it makes a lot of the deaths not really matter as much in comparison to a show that has not too many deaths, but really impactful ones. Also, be careful if you just kill off random characters, because people usually aren't going to care too much. I mean, I guess if it's brutal or whatever, or it's gory, then yeah, people get a slight reaction. A character death like the Eclipse, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. It's remembered a lot more because of the characters that died during it. However, sometimes killing off random characters can lead to being effective in different areas. Like in Devilman Crybaby, you see people jumping off buildings, you see the military and police shooting others, and you see people just in general acting like fucking crazy ass people. This aspect of Devilman Crybaby also ties into the most important death, and my favorite death in the anime, Miki's. Miki's death is so symbolic of what the series stands for that it's hard for me to explain in words just how much I love this death and how much I fucking teared up when watching the anime. To explain the death, I have to explain why episode 9, in my opinion, was the best part of Devilman Crybaby. Episode 9 starts with a very, very cheesy and over-the-top scene of people throwing shit at Akira and him protecting these people that are on stakes and shit. And it cuts in and out of Miki typing to her social media about how if people just loved each other and were more like Akira, we could have a better place. This is one of the few times where Devilman Crybaby is very, very open about its message. Miki is at this point the last string of hope for humanity, the last string of peace and of solitude. Even Akira says in that episode that Miki is his hope, that Miki is his humanity. If Miki were gone, he wouldn't have anything left. And what do these fuckers do? They fucking stab her in the back and hang her fucking head on a fucking pitchfork. They don't fucking hang her head. Oh, and they also burn her fucking house down too. Did I mention Akira sees this? And after that he loses his humanity by killing other humans. This also marks the first time Akira actually cried for himself, not for others. This scene leads beautifully up into episode 10. And I guess the rest of the series, but there's only one more episode, so it's death like this, death like Kaoru, death like the Eclipse, that show just how fucked up the world is. You shouldn't try to be edgy, at least in a bad way, but having a statement and having death in your series can overall improve your series and make it more impactful. Make it a series that people will remember and will love for years to come.